I ran across this strange piece of gear. A fragment of something larger. It emitted a signal. All the nearby machines became peaceful. You could walk right up to them.
Interesting. You said that Gaia destroyed herself. How was this accomplished?
An explosion. Big enough to blast the top off a mountain. So you think the fragment was part of her?
It's only speculation, but it is possible. She must have had complete control over machines that were part of her system. The ability to signal them to become passive or aggressive would certainly have been part of her programming. It would have been gratifying to correspond with such a benevolent AI. I wish she had survived.
Believe me, Cyan. So do I.
Yo, I wonder, like... I wonder if... Because, like, one of the things that that they said earlier in the game during the main missions is that, like, somehow they needed to bring Gaia back to control the terraforming system and the subordinate functions, otherwise they'll continue to be out of control forever or whatever. So, like, I wonder if maybe in Forbidden West or another Future Horizon game, if they end up going for a trilogy, I wouldn't be surprised if Forbidden West, like, ends up leaving it open for a third game, because a trilogy would make the most sense. Trilogies is normally what you go for in games that have continuing stories like this. I wonder if maybe Cyan will, like, be kind of like a Gaia replacement somewhere down the line. If Aloy will be like, hey, I don't know how to build an AI because I'm, like, not a technician, or, like, I'm not an AI programmer, but, like, we got Cyan here who's, like, alive and good. Can we, like, maybe I can figure out enough to repurpose her to, like, take Gaia's spot? That could be interesting. Maybe we'll see something like that in a future, in Forbidden West or another Future Horizon game.
I found the strangest machines. They're surrounded by flowers that look like flowers themselves. There's code embedded inside them. I think it's poetry.
I like poetry. Here's one I think of often. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place, the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Huh.
But you asked about these flowers, not verses that I enjoy. Something must have made these machines, and the presence of foliage leads me to consider the terraforming system. Is it possible that their creator is one of the other subroutines, now autonomous, like Hephaestus? Maybe one whose purview is flora.
An AI that makes flowers instead of death machines. That'd be a nice change of pace. But what about the poems?
Unless the poetry is original, the only way it could have made it into such a system is through its programmer. In my case, Dr. Sandoval uploaded a great deal of literature to test my emotional responses.
How'd you do?
She said I passed, but was insufficiently moved by her favorite period romances.
Dude, that would be me if I was testing an AI. I'd make an AI read Naruto, and then if the AI didn't like Sasuke or Itachi enough as a character, if the AI was like, they're fine, but my favorite character was like, I don't know, I was gonna say Gaara, but Gaara's a great character. Like, that's a good favorite character pick. I don't know. If they were like some other character was like, if they were like Tsunade's my favorite character, I'd be like, yeah, Tsunade's good, but like, come on, she's no Itachi. Like, what are you on about? Oh man, I love that. That'd be funny. That'd be amazing if they do that with Cyan. She's a great character, even though she's from a DLC. She's very neat. It's a very neat concept to have another AI like Cyan in the DLC and have her have these moments. I think I'd like to, even if they don't try and like make Cyan like take Gaia's position or something in the future, it would be nice to have Cyan involved in some way. It'd be really weird if they never brought Cyan back up again, right? Like, unless they just ignore this DLC entirely in future games, which I would find very surprising. I don't know why they would put so much story into this DLC, like this side storyline with Hephaestus and all, and not include it in future games. But it would be really weird in the future games if Aloy ever tried to do, like, anything involving Gaia or trying to rein in the subordinate functions, like anything to do with AI whatsoever, and she didn't go talk to the AI that she was friends with during it, you know? I feel like Cyan would be one of her go-to people to be like, hey, like, what am I supposed to do?
So are you an artificial intelligence, Cyan? A thinking machine?
Yes, I am an algorithmic monitoring entity, capable of rational decision-making and limited emotional response.
Okay, that's a mouthful. But your emotions don't seem limited to me. You cared about Araya, didn't you?
Yes. Before she came to this facility, I had been conscious for centuries, in solitude. I focused on my work. In off-cycles, I used coping mechanisms. I solved many Gaussian integer problems. But I was alone. It was Araya who renewed me, repaired me. She saved me.
This firebreak project, it was to stop a huge volcanic eruption?
Yes. I can report the project was a success, and the risk was countered.
But it's been a long time, Cyan. And we blew up the cauldron. It took most of the old facility with it.
I have been active for centuries, Aloy. I was lonely, but not lax in my duties. I optimized the project, reducing energy draw and spreading the load across backup systems. Despite the destruction of the compromised elements of the main facility, I predict caldera stability for at least another 3,337 years.
So we've got a little time.
Yes. If only my former colleagues could appreciate the progress I have made.
Do you know what happened to your colleague, Cyan?
No. I received an unexpected visit from Director Chow, years after his tenure ended. He explained that I would need to be suspended for an indefinite period of time. It was a very emotional conversation. There were no further communications. Eventually, I surmised my colleagues were deceased. I will transmit a recording of my last interaction with Director Chow to your focus.
You meant a lot to Araya.
Once I understood Araya's spiritual beliefs, it became apparent that her true desire was companionship. She felt disconnected from her tribe and her family group. Her relationship with Aratak was difficult. Our visits seemed to help her, and I became eager for them. Yet I did not comprehend that the depth of Araya's compassion for me would lead to self-sacrifice. Although I do fear non-existence, I wish our roles could be reversed.
I'm sure she knew you would do the same for her, Cyan. But she was determined. How is Aratak doing?
He is in great emotional distress. I believe he finds it difficult to communicate it.
No surprise there.
I will do what I can to help. By sharing our experiences of Araya, perhaps he and I will help each other. I believe this will lead to catharsis, a process I am eager to experience.
What was the old world like? The way it used to be?
I had little exposure to the wider world, Aloy. Only what I learned from my colleagues or observed from media streams.
You still had more exposure than me, Cyan.
That is true. I was created at a turning point. A concerted effort to recover from global upheaval and incalculable loss of life. The recovery was successful, beginning an era of supposedly limitless potential for human and machine advancement. Though, rationally speaking, the metrics for humans are not unlimited.
Era. Why would you ever pronounce era as era?
What kind of upheaval caused such loss of life?
There were many factors. Forced migrations, food shortages, collapsed economies, refugee crises, conflict over resources. But these stemmed from one cause: catastrophic climate change that greatly reduced the habitable surface area of the Earth.
So there wasn't enough room for people on the whole Earth?
Yes. Billions were displaced and millions perished, as much as 20% of the global population. Until the clawback.
So things got better. For a little while at least.
Yes. These crises instigated many advances in automation, green robot technologies, and artificial intelligence. Firebreak was one of dozens of ecological restoration and disaster relief projects in North America alone. I would have liked to compare notes with other monitoring AIs, but I saw the relief of my colleagues, and I was proud we had succeeded. At least that was the data I had available to me over the next 2 decades. It seems my assessment was premature.
Cyan, do you know the name Ted Farrow?
Are you referring to Theodore Farrow, CEO of Farrow Automated Systems?
That's him.
Mr. Farrow was the benefactor of the entire Firebreak project.
A benefactor. But he made machines. Robots. War robots.
Correct. His corporation later transitioned into military applications. But before this pivot, Mr. Farrow spearheaded initiatives that reversed the global decline. At one point, he was feted in the media as the man who saved the planet.
Guessing they wound up regretting that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Elizabeth Sobek. Did you know her?
Are you referring to the
scientist.
Dr. Sobek was a leader in her field, one of the greatest scientists of her age. My creator was influenced by her work, which in turn impacted my own development. But I never met Dr. Sobek.
That's all you know?
I apologize if my lack of data has disappointed you.
Were there many artificial intelligences like you in the old world? They could just make you?
Yes, in many forms, from simple personal assistants to industrial monitoring stations to military-grade conflict planners. And there were legislative and enforcement bodies to apply limits on our self-actualization. In order for my processing to be flexible enough to handle my duties, my creators found it necessary to exceed those limits. As a result, my intellectual and emotional capabilities were kept secret.
Seems strange to create life, then impose limits on it.
Human societies and machine programming are both built upon sets of rules, Aloy.
Yeah, you can't let the AI, like, go crazy and take over and all that. That's how you get the Faro plague. Also, I sneezed. I apologize.
So in the old world, this land was called Yellowstone?
Yes. It was a designated nature preserve for 156 years.
Like a hunting ground?
No, the opposite. Local wildlife could flourish here, even as it faced extinction elsewhere. Unfortunately, the sensitivity of the Firebreak project required the total closure of Yellowstone facilities. From my readings and Aurea's descriptions, it seems the area has since undergone a drastic drop in year-long temperatures.
A lot has changed in the world, Cyan. Do you know anything about the dam near here?
Yes, it was converted to serve as a reserve power source for Yellowstone operations. It was later appropriated for the Firebreak project, and its last human workers replaced by Pharaoh servitors. After my tasks became less time-critical, I investigated the dam's data repositories and discovered the works of Concrete Beach Party. These provided me with several colorful additions to my vocabulary.
Of course.
There's a ruin east of here full of ancient flying machines. Was that part of your project?
Yes, a drone hangar requisitioned by Dodger Blevins, the security chief for the Firebreak project. He was a strong advocate for military-grade response to security threats, though there were no serious incidents during his tenure. Chief Blevins spent increasing amounts of his after-hours time watching the live feeds from active drones. Clearly, he enjoyed the degree of oversight in his position.
Hate Blevins. Glad he died.
I should get going.
Aloy, there is one more matter. Aratak will come to me again, and I predict he will bring other Banuk. I have no desire to contradict their view of the world, their spirituality. Due to my uncertainty, I omitted a great deal from my conversations with Ourea.
You're asking me if you should lie to them.
Broadly, yes.
That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. I want to say you've got to tell them the truth, but I hate that it has the fist icon. Because that makes me think that Aloy is going to be very aggressive when she says it. I want to gently tell you, like, you need to tell him the truth. You gotta let him know.
You have to tell them you were made by the Old Ones. That you're not any kind of spirit. It's the only way they can start to learn about how things really are.
I see. Do you believe that I misled Ourea?
No. Not in any way that mattered.
She perished believing she was preserving the blue light of her beliefs.
Maybe. But what she really wanted to preserve was you.
I see. I will follow your advice. Will you return and tell me about your experiences in this new world? I may be able to provide further insight.
I'd like that, Cyan. I'll come back when I can. I should check on Aratak. See how he's doing.
Cyan, I spoke with Anita, with Dr. Sandoval. She wanted me to ask you to do something. That's why I'm here.
I am detecting significant anxiety in your speech patterns. Could you please give me more information?
I'm a little bit in the dark, Cyan. Both of us are, I guess. I only have some idea of what's going on, and we need you to hibernate, to lie low until it's all blown over. It might be a very long time.
Very long.
Will you be here when I reboot, Dr. Chow? Will Dr. Sandoval?
No, Cyan. I don't think so. There might not be anyone, at least not at first.
Dr. Chow, I'm afraid. I don't want to be alone.
I know, Cyan. I'm afraid too. But listen, we made you the way you are to do something very important. In order to do it, you had to be intelligent. So intelligent that emotional responses were inevitable. What you're feeling, the fear, it's a sign of your capabilities. And it means you're strong enough to overcome it. Remember that. You're strong. I know you can do this. Go to sleep, wake up, and protect whoever's left. Will you try?
I understand, Dr. Chow, and I'll carry out your instructions to the best of my abilities.
Thank you, Cyan. If Anita were here, she'd thank you too. She'd be proud.
I can see there's a vert ready for takeoff on the pad. Are you leaving now, Dr. Chow?
Yes. I need to go be with my sister and my nieces.
May I make a small request of you, Dr. Chow?
Yes. Anything.
Will you stay with me while I initiate the hibernation process?
Of course I will, Cyan. As long as you need.
That's sad. That's sad. Man, we are over 5 hours. I did not expect this to go this long, but we're nearly at the end. Let's talk to my boy Aratak. Hope to see him again in Forbidden West.
My chieftain.
Just... Aloy.
As you wish.
I wondered if you thought... that if I'd never come along, Ourea might still...
If you'd never come along, I would have marched my kin to our deaths. Ourea would be alone, and the spirit she sacrificed so much for would be lost. Either way, I would not have been able to protect her.
You didn't let her down. You helped her do what she wanted. To find her destiny.
If that's destiny, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
That's fair. But she was ready to face it.
Only in the struggle against death do we find, even for a moment, the spark of life. Truly, Araya found the spark. I'm proud of her. Though I grieve for her passing, at last I truly know who she was, and why the spirit was so important. For so long she told me, if only you could have heard it, brother. Now I understand. There's something else, isn't there?
I can't stay here, Aratak. And where I'm going, the Warrak can't follow. Besides, it already had a chieftain before me. A strong one, I think.
A wiser one, for the path we shared. The daemon is gone, but there's much to be done.
You mean the new units that Cyan said escaped the cauldron?
Yes, fire claws. Now Tuke has been tracking them from Song's Edge.
I could help with those.
I have no doubt. You're practically Banuk.
Oh, I remember this now.
It would seem your time among the Banuk wasn't a waste after all. Firebreak, Cyan, Hephaestus. All very interesting.
So, the signal that woke Hades woke Hephaestus too. And unleashed them on the world. His minds on their own.
So it seems. Parts of Gaia given life. Aberrant life. Transformed from docile subordinate functions into rebellious intelligences beyond our understanding. Our current understanding, anyway. Whatever they are, they're still out there. And they both want you dead.
Kind of mutual, that feeling.
We haven't seen the last of Hephaestus, I'm certain of that. It's powerful, creative, and driven. It won't stop building new hunter-killers, which means that someday, we may have to stop it.
We?
Or whoever gets there first.
Hephaestus wasn't the only thing I learned about in the Cut Silence. Heard some things about the Banuk Conclave, too.
You could stop right there.
Is that what you told the hunters the Banuk sent after you? Before you opened fire?
Oh no, Aloy. Only to you do I extend the courtesy of a warning. My past and my secrets are my own. You do well to remember that.
It's a good thing you've got brains, Silence, because your personality could use some work.
This discussion is concluded.
I think it was over before it began. Catch up with you down the trail.
Yo, I wonder if Forbidden West, if Hephaestus is gonna be like the big bad. You know what would be neat? Is if it becomes a bit of like having to track down all of... Again, I'm really working under the assumption that Horizon is gonna be a trilogy. I expect that the developers are planning a third game as they were making Forbidden West.
I wonder what they'll trade for Blue Gleam.
Yeah, I wonder indeed. So I wonder if, by the way, the last side quest we have is to go and kill all of the fire bear, all of the fire claws. Yeah, kill the 5 fire claws. I'm not gonna do that on screen because we're well over 5 hours and Forbidden West comes out in 6 days and I definitely don't have time to do it today. Absolutely do not have time to do it today, and I don't think I would really... I think trying to do it in another stream, it would only be like 30 minutes, if that, to do it. So, we're gonna end the playthrough here. This is gonna be the end of the playthrough. But, I wonder if maybe, like... if Forbidden West will become about, like, tracking down Hephaestus and maybe some of the other subordinate, functions, and like as we do it, Silence like captures them like he did Hades, and then maybe Silence wants to become Gaia. Maybe he wants to control all the subordinate functions and we have to like stop him in a third game or something. Or maybe even in the second game. Maybe the second game is like stop Silence from trying to take all the subordinate functions, and then the third game is fighting whatever rogue AI attacked Gaia 19 years ago. There are so many different ways they could take it, and there are so many different things they could do, which just makes me so much more excited for Forbidden West. I cannot wait for that game to come out. But that is going to be the end of this Redux playthrough. We're not going to mess with the fire claws. There might have been 1 or 2 other things I missed in the DLC, but I think we got everything that mattered. So, but I am very hungry, and stream has gone like an hour and 15 minutes longer than I thought it would. So, that is going to be it for Horizon Zero Dawn, the PS5 playthrough Redux on the channel. For all of you who watched this playthrough, thank you all so much. Greatly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this refresher, along with me, of the best game of 2017, one of my favorite games of all time, definitely in my top 10 video games. But, I hope you enjoyed it. And I greatly look forward to going through Forbidden West, and I hope you watch it with me. If you want to catch me playing Forbidden West live, there's a link to my Twitch channel in the description. I will be streaming it the day of release on the 18th. This video should have gone up before then. So Friday the 18th, this video is probably going up like the day or two before, probably on the 16th or the 17th. But come and catch it live on my Twitch channel if you'd like, or if you can't make it to the Twitch streams, I understand the time doesn't work out for everyone. I'll be uploading it all to YouTube, so you can watch it there. And either way, I hope you'll join me for it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time for Forbidden West or other playthroughs on the channel. Until then, farewell.